Stephen A. Williams with Making Money with Stephen A. Williams here on YouTube. In today's video, we're going to talk about the mindset that you have to be able to build a business. I'm going to also throw in some bonus content from Napoleon Hill's book, Laws of Success. And I'm going to talk specifically about how he instructs people to build a business and the importance of the reasons why he instructed people to do it that way. And I actually built my biggest company that I've ever built. I utilized this key information, this powerful information, and it was the fastest and the most successful business that I've ever built. But there's some things that he did not talk about in there that I think is very important and that you would need to know, because there's going to be some day-to-day stuff that you're going to have to understand and go through to be able to be successful in any business. It doesn't matter how you try to grow that business. And it's going to all come down to being a leader. If you're not a leader, you're not going to be able to build a business successfully. You're going to run into too many problems, and you're not going to be able to manage your way through those problems, and it's going to end up crashing your business. So first thing that I want you to do right now is I want you to clap your hands. I want you to get your body moving. I want you to raise your hands in victory. No matter how you feel, no matter where you're at in your life, I want you to get excited, because the information that I'm about to give you should get you energized. It should get your senses and your subconscious mind, your conscious mind, your body. You want to get all of that moving, because no matter what you do, if you're working somewhere or you're trying to build a business, everything has to start with the way that you feel. If you feel good about what you're doing, you feel good about going out there every day, trying to make yourself successful, every day becoming more successful, you're going to be able to stay on track. I'm here to tell you that willpower and all of that stuff, that's not going to work. It's just going to make you tired. But if you get your body energized, if you wake up in the morning and you just have that feeling that it's just going to be a good day, even if you don't know, you just automatically tell yourself it's going to be a good day. And you start moving forward with that, and you'll start to see good things will start to happen. And if bad things happen, so what? It just happened. You just continue moving forward. So now, clap your hands. So now, first, let's talk about being a leader, and then we're going to get down to what Napoleon Hill said in the Laws of Success. So I wrote some things out here, some things that I had to understand to build my business. And the first thing I want to say here, let me just get my pen. First thing is, nothing is going to be perfect, and always expect and be willing to either change or to accept change. That's very important when it comes to being in business. So let's talk about some of the things, and obviously there's also some other things that you need to take into account, but I'm just going to go off of the things that came top of mind, things that I deal with on a daily basis running my businesses. So now, number one is that you have to be willing to make the hard decisions. And these hard decisions could come from the vendors that you deal with, people, suppliers, other businesses that you do business with, to be able to either get supplies for your business or work that they do for your business. Maybe you're subcontracting out. You have to make the hard decisions on those. And depending on what type of business you're in, some of those decisions may not be as hard. Some of them may be hard, but you have to be willing to make those decisions. You can't deal with vendors who put your business in a bad situation. I've had to make hard decisions with dealing with vendors. I remember one early when I was younger in my publishing printing business. There was a local printer that we were with, and we ended up moving to another vendor that was 2 hours away. That move to that vendor that was 2 hours away, that printer, was the best decision. Even though that one printer was local, They were, honest about keeping the business local, but we had to make the hard decision to take our print business 2 hours away to another vendor that better served the business, because the decisions that you make have to serve the business, not serve you or some friendship. The next thing is financial. You have to make the hard financial decisions. Some of them may be to give people raises, but that's happy with the employee is happy, but you have to also make that financial decision based on the health of the business. So it's not just about making the employees happy by giving them a raise. You have to also make sure that financial decision doesn't hurt the business. So, and then there's going to be other financial decisions on spending, on advertising, all of that stuff. You have to be willing to make those hard decisions, and all financial decisions have to be made in the business's interest, no matter what friendships, employee relationships, whatever. It does not matter. All financial decisions have to be made in the interest of the business. Some people play around with that. Personnel, employee, personal decisions, stuff that you do. So I put that on there for personal, like things that I would have to want to do, or something that I might want, or whatever. I have to make sure that any personal decisions, things that I decide to do for myself, do not affect the business. It could be the time that I want to take off. It could be some money that I want to take out of the business, whatever that is. You have to make those decisions based off of the business first, and then you second. And then employee decisions. And that's going to be a hard one. Some employees you may have to let go. Some employees you may have to discipline. Some employees you may give a raise or give bonuses to. But it's still, you have to make those decisions. Some decisions are going to be easy to make. Some decisions are going to be hard to make. Next thing is you got to know when to hold back. And when I say that is when you're speaking and you're talking to employees, or you're talking to other business associates, some of the times you don't need to let them know what's going on with the business. The reason why is because your job as the business owner is to keep them steady, moving forward, doing their job, doing the stuff for the business. You don't want to get them all in the uproar because you're going to make changes, all in the uproar because you're going to be bringing new people on the team. That is none of their concern. They have to deal with what you have to do, because all decisions that you make are for the business. And then with associates, with other business owners or other people that there are some things that you're going to talk about, and there's some things that you're just not going to talk about. With with two of my other companies, a lot of my associates during the time that I was building those businesses did not know anything about what I was doing with those businesses, because you don't need to get their input. You don't need to get anything, any information. Nothing. They knew nothing about those types of businesses that I was starting, and I didn't need to get any input, and I didn't also need to talk to them about me starting those businesses, because one of the things that I've learned over my 35 years of business is that if someone that is already successful is starting something new, business owners have this tendency to look at that thing to see if they could do it, because we all see ourselves as equal. And they'll say, if Steve was able to make it successful, I know Steve, I have just as much money as he does. I maybe can make another profit center by starting a business just like that. I've had people do that same thing to me. I've had people do that. So I've learned over the years, you don't need to be talking about this stuff with your associates. You do what you do, let them do what they're going to do. And as a matter of fact, my associates, they do the same thing. 6 months or a year later, all of a sudden I find out they're into a new business, and they got that business rolling, and now they're, opening up and telling me about it. You need to always keep your cool, especially when dealing with your employees. You might be boiling up on the inside. You might be like where you just want to just go off. But I'm just here to tell you, as the owner of the business, you must maintain your cool. You must just be even keel the whole time. And I know that that could be very hard, difficult, but I've learned over the years that it's best to just be that way, because no matter what, if stuff goes great, you stay that way. If stuff goes bad, especially with employees, you still stay that way. They're going to respect you for it. They're going to know that no matter what, they can bring stuff to you. That's another thing. When you stay even, you'll get calls when employees make mistakes, and they'll go ahead and tell you outright, because they don't think that you're going to just blow up over it. That they know that you're going to be the type of employer that they can give a call to or come into your office and tell you what's going on. The next thing is, don't be friends with your staff. It's very important. You cannot be. I learned this lesson the hard way with one of my businesses, is that you just can't be. You have to be willing, like, you call people up in your office. There's really no reason for them, and this might sound harsh, but I'm a real business owner. When an employee comes into my office, there's no need to sit down and have a conversation with me. You can stay standing and you can tell me what is going on, and then we can deal with it. But it is not going to be this buddy friendly friendship type relationship. Yes, we could talk about some things that might be going on, a little bit of back and forth, but they understand that I am not their friend. I'm, the boss. You have to be that way. And I'm just telling you, if you become friends with your employees, you are about to be in trouble with your business. They're not going to respect you. You're going to have to continually be running through people to get to, getting rid of certain staff and replacing them with other people. You have to get a good working relationship, but they have to understand that at any time, and I call it pulling the rug out from under someone. So let me give you a quick example. If you know when to hold back, you keep your cool, and you're not friends, and someone messes up, and it's just like you just had it with them, they're not going to be able to work for your company, they can't do their job, you just call them into the office and you calmly let them know that their services will not be needed. You'll pay them extra week or two so they can, go and find another job, couple of weeks of severance pay, and you just leave it at that. And then if they come back and they say, well, what happened, this and that, you already know, because you've given them write-ups. This is what was done. You've been warned about it. And, this is the way that, this is the decision that I've made. And there's no arguing, there's no fussing, there's no, well, you didn't warn me, there's no, why didn't you yell at me over this or whatever. All of that. I've just learned that, I just call it pulling the rug from under someone. And I know that might sound harsh. It's just that people know what I've learned. What I've learned is that employees know when they have messed up, and they will expect to be fired at some point. It might sound crazy, but they will know that at some point they're going to end up being fired. So just to review, to be a leader, nothing is perfect. You always be willing to accept change. You got to make the hard decision. Got to know when to hold back. You got to keep your cool, and don't be friends with your staff. Now that, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that when you get to dealing with people, get to running your business, and depending on what type of business you have. But those are some of the things that when I've maintained that, I did not run into trouble with workers once I maintained that. Now, let's get into building a business the Napoleon, the Andrew Carnegie way. Andrew Carnegie way. So first, let me read this real quick. Let me read this. This is on page 1019. So it says here, once you have placed yourself under the influence of proper associates. So let me back up a little bit. So it says here, for example, Andrew Carnegie Mastermind Alliance was made up of 20 men. Now, you don't need 20 people, each of whom brought to the alliance some quality of mind, experience, education, or knowledge that was directly related to the object of the alliance and not available through any other member of the alliance. So what they're saying is that each member had their own specialty that they were bringing to the table. Once you have placed yourself under the influence of proper associates. So let me draw this out for you. Get your pen and paper out. Pause the video right now. Get your pen and paper out so you can see exactly what I'm going to draw out, because I've actually done this. And it was the fastest growing business that I had ever made to get into over $4 million a year. So let me show you. So first, we got the mastermind group. So here, this is you. And let's just say that you have 3 people. That's the first. So this is your alliance. All 3 of these people. Now, the way that I'm going to show you how to do this is going to give you where you have minimal interaction with the business. Minimal interaction. And he explains why you may need that minimal interaction, especially if it's a business that you did not know anything about. The business that I started, that is the biggest business that I've ever started and grew in the shortest period of time, is a business that I did not know anything about. So understand that. So just so you hear me, the biggest business that I've ever started, made it into the millions, the quickest, the fastest, is the business that I knew nothing about when I started it. So that's the thing. So, you know, other people, they'll tell you, you got to know all of this stuff about the business. But if you pay attention to what I'm about to show you here, and if you are of the right mindset, and you would have to have investment money, this can work if you are going to work in the business. But I'm giving you an example where you don't work in the business. So imagine if you could build a business, $1 million company, and you don't even work inside of that business. You just benefit from the money, from the profits of that business. How does that sound? So we have our mastermind group. So once you have placed yourself under the influence of proper associates, you must adopt a definite plan by which to attain the object of the alliance and proceed to put that plan into action. So now, the alliance and you put together a plan, and you put that plan into what? Action. So you put that plan into action. The plan may be a composite plan created by the joint efforts of all the members of the mastermind group. When I did it, I made the plan, and the group instituted the plan. So you could have it one of 2 ways. Either the group could come together and put the plan into action, or you can make the plan and have the group put that plan into action. That's where they're going to take your instruction. So to kind of break down what I did is I've got people who were specialists in different positions for the company. Each one of them did something different. It wasn't any overlap. Each one of them did something different. And then I put the plan of action in place. I put the investment in place. And all they had to do was do their job. So the first thing, if we want to break it down at the beginning so you don't make any mistakes or lessen your mistakes, is that you have to make sure that these people know exactly what they are supposed to do and that they can do it. That's very important. These have to be very, very capable individuals, confident individuals. They have to know that they can do their job. And when I put that initial team in place for that business, those positions, all of them could do their job. Very capable of doing their job. So now, If one plan proves to be unsound or inadequate, it must be revised or replaced by others until the plan is found that will work. Now, when we put the plan of action in place and we didn't have success, because I don't really know much about the work that these people that I hired to do, all I'm doing is judging results. So if you read here, and I'll say it again, if one plan proves to be unsound or inadequate, it must be revised or replaced by others until a plan is found that will work. By others, that's the key word, by others. The others are the qualified individuals that actually do the work on the ground, that do the day-to-day work. All you do is what they're supposed to do, if they know their job, is what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, that plan didn't work. Let's put together a new plan. So they stop that plan and put another plan to action. Now, because I knew nothing about that business, it would not be wise of me to step in there and say, well, we're not getting the result that we want, so I'm going to put together a whole new plan. No, it does not work that way. It does not work that way, because if you don't know anything about the business, then you can't. But now let's just say that you do know stuff about the business. You can work with your team to put another plan into place, but let's move forward, because there's something that you need to understand about that. Okay, so now, but there must be no change in the purpose of the alliance. So no matter what changes you make to the plan of action is just going to be tweaked to get you to where the overall plan or the goal was that you wanted to attain. So you change the plan, but the goal remains the same. So now, then you must remove yourself from the range of influence of every person in every circumstance that has even any slight tendency to cause you to feel inferior or incapable of obtaining the object of your purpose. So if you have the goal, and this is where it's very important for you, and it goes back to what I said about being a leader, about keeping your mouth closed in certain points, not talking about everything that you're doing, dealing with people a certain way. So you might have to remove yourself from the friends that you're around. You might have to remove yourself from certain family members. You have to remove yourself from certain business associates, because, and I'll read it again, then you must remove yourself from the range of influence of every person, every circumstance that has even a slight tendency to cause you to feel inferior or incapable of attaining the object of your purpose. Positive egos do not grow in negative environments. On this point, there can be no excuse for compromise and failure. To observe it will prove fatal to your chances of success. So what he's saying right here is that people, when you're trying to become successful, when you're trying to do something different, everyone that's around you, it could be family members, it could be friends, it could be other business associates, because you have not became successful, they could say things to you that can make you feel a certain way. They can, say you don't know what you're doing. People will say anything. And so what you have to do is you have to be willing to take yourself away from those individuals. Because if you're and this goes back to the willpower, where a lot of people will say, well, they're gonna have this willpower. Well, the way that you lose willpower is by using too much brain energy. And if you have people constantly telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't be successful because of this, why are you trying to do this business, or who do you think you are? You don't have education, you don't have the money. If you constantly have that coming at you, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to end up getting tired. You're going to end up quitting. You're going to end up just being in a negative mindset. So if you take yourself away from that, and it's going to be hard with dealing with some of the people that are close to you, but you have to do it. And I'm here to tell you that once you become successful, or you start becoming successful, some of those people are going to change the way that they're talking to you about what you're trying to do. Then the next thing is the line must be clearly drawn between you and those who exercise any form of negative influence over you, that you can close the door tightly against every such person, no matter what previous ties of friendship, obligation, or relationship may have existed between you. You must close the door tightly against every thought of any past experience or circumstance that tends to make you feel inferior or unhappy, because that goes to the willpower. See, a lot of people think that they're gonna like push themselves through something that's difficult, and that's the way that we express it. It's like we're gonna push ourselves hard to get through it, but most of the time we're gonna get tired. We're gonna get brain tired. And the reason why we get brain tired is because we're constantly thinking about all of the negative stuff that people either said, past experiences. Maybe you tried a business before and that business failed, and you're trying to do the new business, but you're constantly thinking in the back of your mind that it's going to fail all over again. So the best way is to take yourself out of that thought process. And the way to take yourself out of that thought process is to get away from people, get away from the thought process of past experiences, so you can start fully concentrating on what the goal is that you want to attain it. And I'm here to tell you that that's going to be difficult, especially when it comes to family members, because family members are supposed to care about you. They're supposed to want you to be successful. They're supposed to want you to, be the best that you can be. But some of the times when we start to do things that make our family members feel uncomfortable because they didn't have the inner power to go out there and do it for themselves, you'll be surprised at some of the things that they might say, or they might start talking behind your back. It happened to me, and I'm pretty sure it's happened to other people, and it's probably happened to you if you're trying to get your business off the ground. I still have family members to this day that still won't recognize me as being successful. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what other people say about me. So why worry about what other people think? Why worry about what other people are going to say? You need to just get yourself in the right mindset so you can be the best that you want to be, and not worry about what they're going to say, because whatever they're going to say, they're going to say it. So here, let's review. The quickest way to build a business, is you build your mastermind team. That mastermind team, you don't need overlap. You need to have people that are going to be specialists in their area. And then either you and the team put together a plan, or you put together a plan of action. And if that plan of action doesn't work, don't be afraid to change the plan of action, but you have to still remain with the same goal. You can't change the plan of action and change the goal. If you do that, you're not going to get anywhere. What you need to do is just keep tweaking the plan of action. And I wish I could tell you how much time it's going to take. Some of the times it's going to be shorter. Some of the time it's going to be longer. It just depends on what business you're in. But you just keep tweaking that plan of action, and then you keep moving towards that goal. You yourself, you have to take yourself away from people who make you feel uncomfortable, inferior, who might be saying things about you or your past experiences that you had when you maybe tried to do another business. You need to put that aside. And I know that that can be difficult, but you have to put it aside, because your past failures have nothing to do with what you're trying to do right now for yourself. So what you do, if you're gonna have a business where you're gonna just pay everyone to take care of certain things, you can take yourself out of that business and you can oversee and make sure that everybody is doing their job with it. If you're gonna be in the business and then you have your team in place, then all of you together are working towards that plan of action and then attaining that goal. So your homework for this video is, what I want you to do is I want you to put in the comment section what your plans are in putting your business in place. Are you gonna invest the money and then put a team in place, and then you're just gonna observe the team, or you're gonna put a plan of action in place with your team and you're gonna actually work it with your team? I want you to put those in the comments there. Also, I want you to put in the comments some of the things that other friends and family members may have said to you that made you have a negative feeling about starting your business or about moving forward, because I want to be able to help you with dealing with that also. And then tell me what, if you already have a successful business, give me and some of the people that are commenting some of the examples of things that you had to do to set yourself apart from friends and family members that maybe had, made you think negatively about yourself, the ways that you were able to overcome it, and then talk about how they think about you now that you're successful. Did some of them change? What usually will happen, and I call this the disappearing people, is that first, when you try to start the business, some of the people are saying that you're dumb, you're stupid, who do you think you are? You don't have any money, you're just like us. They'll say crazy stuff like that. We even had, when my wife and I started our first company, we had family members said, why don't you go and get a real job? Like, they was actually saying that to us. And then later, when we became successful, some of those people disappeared. That's why I call it disappeared. I don't mean that they just like disappeared off the planet. It's just that we don't come in contact with those family members anymore. It's like they just disappeared. Now, we've seen them, off and on every once in a while, but it seems like they avoid us. So that's why I call it the disappearing people. And then the other family members just seem like they flipped the switch, and they were saying, now they're saying stuff like, you were smart, we always knew you were going to be successful, there was something different about you, all of that stuff. So think about that, the disappearing people, and then you had the people who saying that you're very smart, but everybody, or almost everybody at the beginning, was saying, who do you think you are? All of those statements. So that's why I say it doesn't matter what they think or say about you. You just need to push those people aside, because you have to concentrate on what you want for yourself. And the more you get to doing that, the less brain tired you're going to get, because you're not worrying about what other people are saying, what other people are talking about. And then that'll give you more brain energy to deal with probably the hardest thing, which is to put aside past failures that you had. Because the first thing that comes to our mind, if you're trying to do something new, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're trying to do something new, the way that the human brain works is it goes back and it looks for past experiences. It tries to look for something similar so it can help you move forward with what you're trying to do. So if you had failure experiences, but your brain is trying to make it easier for you to move forward in life, it doesn't know that that past failure was a failure. It doesn't know if it was a success. All it's doing is looking for similarities with what you're trying to do. So if you had a failure in a business in the past and you start to try to make a new business in the future, your brain is going to go back. It's going to reach back. What is something similar so I can make Steve move forward a lot easier? It doesn't even know that it's going back and reminding me of past business failures. It's just going back to say, hey, this memory might help you move forward. Now I'm just making your life easier by going back and looking at experience. See, think about it. And I don't want this to go over your head. When we talk about experience, like they'll say, like, do you have experience with doing something? Do you have experience with this type of job, this type of work, or whatever? The way that our minds work is we reach back at that experience. When someone asks you, do you have experience with something, do you go back in your mind and you start to find and categorize them with, okay, yeah, I got experience with typing, and I have negative experience with typing and I got positive experience with typing. No, what we do is we just reach back and say, yes, I have experience with typing. And then based upon the way that you do your work, it's going to show if you have negative experience with typing or positive experience. Because I've had employees where I said, do you know how to type? And they said, yeah, I know how to type. And then when they got to the computer, they knew how to type, but they didn't know how to type the way that they, kind of expressed that they knew how to type. But that's not what they reach back to do. They just reach back, yeah, I got experience typing. The same thing happens when we're trying to make changes in our personal life, if you're just trying to become a better person, or if you're trying to build a business. The subconscious mind is just like a computer. It does not know if something is good or bad. All it's going to do is it's going to access that information and it's going to try to make your life easier. And the way that it tries to make your life easier is by saying, okay, you don't have to learn all of this stuff with this new business that you're trying to do. Let's just go access this old information that you have stored in your mind right now. And if that information that's stored in your mind right now was stuff that failed, guess what you're going to start having feelings about? You're going to be having this anxiety like, oh, is it going to be like it was the last time? You're going to be constantly thinking, how can I make it not like it was the last time? Even if you're saying it to yourself, how can I make it not like it was the last time? What are you thinking about constantly? The last time. That's why you got to practice putting that aside. One of the things that I learned also with starting a new business, I have experience in a business, in multiple businesses, but I've learned that every business that I started, I had to start over with experience. And when I started doing that, and not just bringing my old experience over to that business, it made that business grow a lot faster. Because, yeah, I might have experience with growing other businesses, but every business is unique in itself. So why not draw out this plan here where you just start fresh, put stuff to the side, have your team in place, put a plan of action in place, know your goal, and it could be a small goal at the beginning. You might have to practice and might not make it too big at the beginning. And then put that plan into action and just see what happens. So do your homework, put your comments in the section, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. This is Stephen A. Williams with Making Money with Stephen A. Williams here on YouTube.